this is Georg. Today we have the 31st of July. It's Tuesday at around 9 p.m. Today started the second week of my experiment doing the interval training on the flat cycle path with 5 minutes of intense intervals and 2 minutes of rest. It had around 33 degrees while riding. I was fortunate because the sky was covered in clouds. It rained a little bit, but not too much, to be honest, just for a few minutes. It was more a cool down than a big obstacle while riding. The weather forecast predicted around 36 to 37 degrees. Fortunately, the cycle path where I am riding is a bit higher in the mountains, so it doesn't get as hot as in the city. So today, from the very beginning, I already felt that my legs haven't been that strong, but in the end I didn't feel any difference. So the first intense interval was fairly easy, as usual, as my stamina wasn't used up, because I did 15 minutes of a warm-up, which isn't that hard for me anymore, or it never was. So from the last time I have seen that those 15 minutes actually take me at the end to part of the cycle path where a lot of crossroads are, so I decided to turn around a few minutes before the first intense interval would start. So I would actually finish before those crossroads and it would be more consistent of an intense interval, so I wouldn't have to stop and check if a car or somebody is crossing the road. After that intense interval, I turned around and I passed to a road biker. They have been pedaling at a steady pace. I would say it's their normal pace without putting in too much effort, but for me it was the intense interval, so I passed them as I was slightly faster than them. But the distance between them and me didn't increase while I was doing the intense interval. So I was leading for those 5 minutes, then the bell rang, and I obviously had to do 2 minutes of resting where they passed me again. Then after 2 minutes, always going in the same direction, I did the last set of 5 minutes of the intense interval. And there I struggled to pass them because actually I was riding in my highest gear. And I didn't want to overpass and then trying to maintain the distance between them and me. I was riding behind them. I tried not to ride in their wind shadow, so it doesn't get too easy. But still it felt pretty easy as I didn't ride that hard, or at least not as hard as I did on the intervals before. And then I passed the crossroad where I actually had to turn left to get home, but I had to do 15 additional minutes of cool down, and on the way back I actually felt that before there was actually tailwind helping me maintain that pace behind the road biker, so the way back was a bit harder during the cool down. Another thing that I forgot to mention on the last episode was that on the ride on Saturday, so on the downhill section, I had to do one steep climb where I had to put in maximum effort in order not to walk up the hill but ride it up instead. And I noticed that maximum output of power, I haven't improved that with the interval training, as the intense part is still not as hard as my maximum output is. I'm looking forward to the third experiment I'm doing, where I'm doing 20 seconds of really intense parts, and I don't know how long the pause was, I have to check that. So I will do there 20 seconds of all I got, the maximum output on a steep climb. And I guess that will improve my performance, especially on this trail where I have to climb this short section, about 30 meters or so. Until now, doing the intense interval on the cycle path has improved the steeper climbs, but not those climbs where I go to my maximum. And I'm also really curious how big of an improvement I did until Sunday, where I actually will ride the section from my home to the Ötzi Flow Trail start, which is my reference distance, where we'll see how far or how close I got to the e-bike time I rode at the beginning of the year. As usual, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out or call in with the Anchor app or on Instagram. My Instagram handle can be found in the episode description or in the description of my podcast. Thank you very much, and until the next time.